April in Manhattan Beach is the kind of market that can make a homeowner feel safer than they should. Citywide, single-family homes are sitting at 2.8 months of supply, so on the surface it looks tight. But inside that same month, single-family closings in the Sand section moved on a 5-day median, while the Hill section took 48 days. Same city, same month, very different stress, very different timing risk, and very different room for error on price. So if you're thinking about selling in the next 3 to 6 months, that split is the whole conversation. There is still real scarcity in this market, especially on the single family side, but March also brought 35 new single family listings and only 16 pendings. That does not mean demand disappeared. It means new supply is starting to show up faster than contracts are forming. And when that happens in a high-priced coastal market, buyers don't vanish. They simply get more selective. So let's picture two launches for a moment. One hits in the right pocket, in the right condition, and the market gives the seller an answer almost immediately. Not because buyers are emotional, but because they already know what they want and they've been waiting for it. Then picture another listing where traffic is respectable, feedback sounds encouraging, and yet nothing decisive happens because the buyer is still comparing one more building, one more layout, one more monthly payments, one more compromise. That is the Manhattan Beach split I want you to see today. The fast answer lane, the high bar lane, and the compare and delay lane. What I want to do with you today is to show you exactly which lane your home is most likely competing in, how that lane is behaving in April 2026, and what changes if you move now versus wait. And if you want help applying this to your actual home instead of some citywide average, I offer a completely free one-on-one strategy session. My job in that conversation is to help you get clear on what your home could realistically sell for, how much leverage you actually have, and what the cost of waiting could be, so you can make a cleaner decision with less stress. And if you're not ready for a call yet, I've put HomeBot in the description. It's a simple way to track your home's value, your equity, and what your options could look like so you can stay informed until you're ready to make a move. I'm Israel Hernandez. My job is to help you make a cleaner decision with your equity, because your home does not live inside a headline. It lives inside a neighborhood, a property type, a price bracket, a condition bracket, and a very specific buyer comparison set. That is where your real leverage lives. That is also where expensive mistakes happen. So here's the roadmap. I'm going to start with where speed and scarcity still have real force in the single family market. Then I'm going to move into the lanes where the money is still there, but the bar is higher and the timing gets less forgiving. After that, we'll go into condos and townhomes, because that is where Manhattan Beach becomes much easier to misread emotionally. Then I'll zoom out to rates, the buyer pool, and the local structural changes that could matter over your next few months. Let's start with the citywide single family picture, because it still has real strength underneath it. In March, Manhattan Beach single family closed 29 sales. Median days on market were 8. Sellers got 98.8% of both last list and original list price. The median sales price landed at $3,500,000, and the median price per square foot rose to $1,634 per square foot. But there is a twist here that matters. In February, the citywide median sales price was $4,770,000. So if you only looked at the headline median, you could talk yourself into believing Manhattan Beach suddenly weakened. I don't think that's the clean read. Price per square foot moved up from $1,356 per square foot to $1,634 per square foot. That tells me the more likely explanation is the mix. Different kinds of homes closed in March than in February. The middle sell got cheaper. The underlying value per square foot did not. That is a big distinction for an owner, because it means the market is still paying for quality and fit, but it is doing it with discipline, not with a blank check. Now let's go into the fastest part of the single family story. The Sand section is still one of the clearest examples of front-loaded leverage in Manhattan Beach. In March, there were 19 active listings and 13 new listings. 6 homes went pending and 5 closed. Months of supply came in at 3.7. The median days on market were 5. Sellers got 100% on both last list and original list. The median sales price was $4,200,000, and the median price per square foot was $2,018 per square foot. That is not just a premium lane, it is an immediate verdict lane. The right property in the Sand section does not spend weeks educating the market. It gets sorted quickly. What that feels like on the ground is not frenzy for the sake of frenzy. It feels more like a highly informed buyer buyer pool, making a decision very early. If you own there, your leverage is real, but it lives almost entirely in your opening position. The first price matters, the first weekend matters, the first impression matters. Scarcity is helping you, but it is not going to rescue ego-driven number. The tree section gives you a slightly different kind of strength. In March, it had 17 active single-family listings and 15 new listings. 7 went pending and 12 closed. Months of supply were 2.0, the median days on market were 9, sellers got 98.1% of both last list and original list. The median sales price was $3,275,000, and the median price per square foot was $1,628 per square foot. That is still a very healthy market. In some ways, it is even tighter than the sand section because the choice set is smaller. But the important detail is that supply came in hard while pendings did not keep the same pace. So this is not a casual market, it is a disciplined one. If you own in the tree section, you still have a very credible shot at a clean sale, but the market is no longer in a mood to reward wishful pricing just because the neighborhood is desirable. This lane still works, it just wants credibility up front. Then you get into the premium and mixed single family lanes, and this is where homeowners can make the biggest reading error. The Hill section is the clearest example. In March, there were 4 active listings and 2 new listings. 2 homes went pending and 3 closed. Months of supply were 2.5, median days on market were 48. Sellers still got 98.8% of both last list and original list. The median sales price was $6,575,000, and the median price per square foot was $2,080 per square foot. On paper, that looks almost contradictory. Tight supply, near full price, and yet a much longer market cycle. But that is exactly what a premium filter lane looks like. At this level, scarcity does not force a buyer to act. It only gets their attention. To actually convert, the home has to clear a very high bar on view, floor plan, finish level, privacy, and whether it truly feels rare. So if you own in the Hill section, your risk is not that value disappeared. Your risk is that prestige can seduce you into thinking the market will overlook friction, because it won't. A longer days on market timeline at this price point becomes a real household experience. More showings, more second guessing, more conversations about whether the market is misreading the home, when the more likely explanation is that the bar was simply higher than expected. Manhattan Heights and Liberty Village need a more careful read. In March, that single-family segment had 3 active listings and 1 new listing. No homes went pending and 2 closed. Months of supply were 1.4. Median days on market were 20. Sellers got 99.9% of both last list and original list. The median sales price was $3,338,950, and the median price per square foot was $1,398. What I take from that is not weakness and not strength in a broad, sweeping sense. I take caution. The closings that did happen were clean, but the forward pipeline went quiet. When a thin lane shows a clean historical execution and no current pending activity, the practical message is simple. Your house is going to be judged as a one-off. Your exact block, exact condition, exact layout, and exact competition set matter more than any neighborhood story. If your goal is speed, that means you do not want to lean on general market optimism. You want to remove reasons for a buyer to pause. Mira Costa is one of the most nuanced single-family REITs in the city this month. In March, there were 13 active listings and 4 new listings. Only 1 home went pending, but 7 closed. Months of supply were 3.1. The median days on market were just 4. Sellers got 98.1% of both last list and original list. The median sales price landed at $2.75 million, and the median price per square foot was $1,432. This is exactly the kind of neighborhood where a shallow read can hurt you. If you only look at the 4-day median, you tell yourself everything is flying. If you only look at the single pending, you tell yourself demand is collapsing. I don't think either extreme is responsible. The better interpretation is that the most recent closings were still very fast, but the next wave of contract formation got thinner. In plain English, the market just told you that recent success does not guarantee the next seller the same outcome. For an owner in Mira Costa, the question is not whether homes can still move quickly. They clearly can. The better question is whether your home will be one of the property buyers pull forward immediately or one they leave to the comparison set while they think harder. Manhattan Village on the single-family side is too quiet this month to pretend otherwise. there were 1 active listings, no new listings, no pendings, and no closed sales. Months of supply sat at 0.5, but with no current contract activity and no recent closing panel, I would not turn that into a neighborhood thesis. This is a case-by-case lane right now, not a place where I'd let a homeowner build confidence from a thin dashboard. Now let's move into condos and townhomes, because this is where Manhattan Beach becomes much easier to misprice and much harder to interpret emotionally. Citywide in March, there were 13 active attached listings and 4 new listings. 3 went pending and 7 closed. Months of supply came in at 3.1. Median days on market were 21. Sellers got 97.6% of both last list and original list. The median sales price rose to $2,995,000, and median price per square foot came in at $1,533. That combination is important. The headline prices improved from February, but the transaction environment is still softer. In other words, attached product is still moving, but the market is not rewarding it the way it rewards single-family land. Buyers are more comfortable comparing, delaying, asking questions, and negotiating. That is the lane where traffic can feel encouraging without actually producing clean average. The strongest attached lane this month is the sand section. In March, there were 5 active listings and 1 new listings. 2 went pending and 4 closed. Months of supply were 2.4. Median days on market were 18. Sellers got 98.8% of both last list and original list. The median sales price was $5.7 million, and the median price per square foot was $1,990. That is not an affordability story. It is a premium attached story. Buyers here are not hesitating because they lack resources. They are hesitating because the attached living at this price has to make the perfect sense. They're comparing privacy, stairs, parking, views, dues, lock and leave convenience, and whether attached product still feels like the best use of their payments. So if you own a condo or a townhome in the sand section, the market can still reward you, but it is rewarding the easiest yes, not the most ambitious narrative. Manhattan Village condos and townhomes look thinner and trickier. In March, there were 3 active listings, 3 new listings, nothing went pending, and 1 unit closed. Months of supply came in at 1.6. The 1 closing moved immediately, and sellers got 98% of both last list and original list. The median sales price was $2,153,000, and the median price per square foot was $1,124. The trap here is obvious. 1 instant close can tempt you into thinking the whole lane just tightened up. I don't think that's the right read when new inventory expanded and pending pipeline stayed empty. The cleaner lesson is that the right unit can still clear fast, but the market is not broadly rushing. It is picking its spots. Mira Costa condos and townhomes are where comparison pressure is most visible. In March, there were 4 active listings and no new listings. 1 unit went pending and 2 closed. Months of supply were 2.7. The median days on market were 56. Sellers got 94.5% of last list and 91.8% of the original list. The median sales price was $1.75 million, and the median price per square foot was $959. That is a very different experience from single-family Mira Costa, and it matters. This is what it looks like when buyers don't feel cornered. They tour, they compare, they review the dues, the layout, the finish level, the parking, and the future resale story. Then they keep looking. The risk for a seller here is not no interest. The risk is mistaking interest for urgency. A buyer can like the property and still feel no pressure to commit. In a lane like this, overpricing does not usually create a bidding war later. It usually creates fatigue first, then concession. Manhattan Heights and Liberty Village condos are simply too quiet to give you a confident broad read. There was 1 active listing, no new listings, no pendings, and no closed sales. Months of supply registered at 0.8, but with no actual contract or closing flow, I would treat this as a property-specific lane. And the same goes even more bluntly for the tree section and the hill section on the condo and townhome side. There was effectively no March panel there to interpret, so I'm not going to invent momentum where the market did not print one. So if I compress the scoreboard so far, it sounds like this. Single family still carries real scarcity and still rewards clean execution. But that story splits by neighborhood and by price sensitivity. The sand section still looks decisive. The trees section still looks healthy, but it's not forgiving. The hill section remains valuable and selective at the same time. Manhattan Heights and Liberty Village are thin enough that specificity matters more than narrative. Mira Costa single family still shows recent speed, but the forward signal softened. On the attached side, the sand section remains the strongest lane. Manhattan Village is selective and thin, Mira Costa is the clearest comparison market, and the rest of the attached map is simply too quiet this month to justify overconfidence. And if you're realizing your home may not be in the lane you assumed it was, that is exactly why I offer strategy sessions. Not to pressure you into selling, to keep you from using the wrong neighborhood, the wrong property type, or the wrong headline as your template. And if you're not ready for that conversation yet, use HomeBot. It will be in the description. Now let's zoom out from the street to the buyer's monthly payments, because no Manhattan Beach update makes sense without the larger financial pressure sitting on top of it. 3 outside forces matter most right now: rates, the Fed backdrop, and the durability of the buyer's income. As of April 2nd, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate was 6.46%. A month earlier, it was 6%. In a market like Manhattan Beach, that move is not a simple technical detail. It is a direct hit to what buyers can comfortably finance. And whatever the Fed eventually does, the mortgage market is behaving like higher for longer is still the working assumption. Said simply, I would not build a selling plan around the hope that cheap money is about to reopen the buyer pool for you. That does not mean demand is collapsing. The labor backdrop is still holding. The US added 178,000 jobs in March, unemployment sat at 4.3%, and labor force participation held at 61.9%. That matters because it tells you the buyer pool is still employed and functioning. The problem is not a disappearance of income. The problem is that borrowing just got more expensive again. So the strongest buyers are still showing up, but fewer buyers can afford to be loose, impulsive, or generous with their payment stretch. Affordability is the last piece of that macro puzzle. The Housing Affordability Index improved to 117.6 in February, up from 117.1 in January. That tells you the buyer pool had been getting a little healthier on paper, but that number is trailing. It reflects February, not the April payment reality buyers are underwriting today. For you as a homeowner, the practical translation is this: the market still has demand, but that demand is more disciplined than the older affordability data would suggest. That is why Manhattan Beach can still reward sellers and still become less forgiving at the same time. So here's the question I want you to answer for yourself before we go any further. Does your home compete in a lane buyers still feel they have to chase, or in a lane they feel increasingly free to compare? Put that in the comments, because that one answer is the bridge into the next layer of change, and the next layer is structural. Manhattan Beach is not physically frozen while the market plays out. Along the Rosecrans and Sepulveda corridors, the residential overlay district pipeline is starting to feel real. At 1440 Rosecrans, 500 units are in review. At 1500 Rosecrans, another 550 are in review. Hyros El Porto, a 79-unit project at 401 Rosecrans, is already under construction. Deep Roots at 201 North Sepulveda is a 60-unit project in plan check. Sunrise at 252 400 North Sepulveda with 95 units is under construction. Project Pulse has another city council update in April. Development impact fees are taking effect in mid-April, and the Skechers expansion is still creating visible traffic and construction friction along Sepulveda. None of that rewrites your comp sheet tomorrow morning, but it absolutely can change buyer psychology now, especially in the attached and corridor adjacent lanes. And that brings me to the central conflict in Manhattan Beach right now. Scarcity still has value, but imprecision is getting expensive. That is the market we're in. If you own a strong single-family product in the right lane, you still have a real opportunity to convert paper value into actual leverage with relatively low friction. But if you overread the headlines, overprice based on hope, or assume your lane is stronger than it is, the market is much more willing to make you wait. And waiting is not neutral. Waiting can mean more competition, more comparison pressure, a higher stress load, and less control over the conversation. My bottom line is this: if your home sits in one of the cleaner single-family lanes, April still gives you a very credible shot at a fast, high-quality exit. If your home sits in a premium scrutiny lane or a comparison-heavy attached lane, you can still absolutely win, but the safer posture is to respect buyer selectiveness before the market teaches you the hard way. If you're serious about selling in the next 3 to 6 months, don't guess on timing, don't guess on pricing, and don't let a citywide average make the decision for you. Schedule a one-on-one strategy session using the link below, and I'll help you build a plan around your actual neighborhood, your actual property type, and your actual tolerance for risk. And if you're not ready for that conversation yet, use HomeBot in the description. It will help you track your equity, your options, and your leverage with a lot more clarity and a lot less noise. I'm Mishra Hernandez, and I'll see you in the next video.